Hello! All right, it is lesson 70 for 5th grade, and it's also one of my favorite things to do in math. We're going to learn about canceling out and reducing before we even multiply. So when you multiply fractions, you can reduce the fractions before you even multiply, so you don't have to do it at the end. Usually we go and we multiply across, right? We multiply across. 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. But then I look at my 6 and my 15 and I say, I know a number that goes evenly into 6 and evenly into 15. So I know that 3 goes into 6 2 times. And I know 3 also goes into 15 5 times, because 5 times 3 is 15. So now I have reduced it, right? I multiplied across, I got this, I saw that I could reduce it, make it smaller. And then I did. But this lesson is called reducing fractions before multiplying. So before we even do that, we don't have to, because we look at this problem and we see that there's a 3 here on the numerator and a 3 on the denominator. So it's like 3 on the numerator on top and 3 of the denominator on top. And what does that equal when you have the same number on the numerator and the denominator? Equals 1, because 3 goes into 3 one time and 3 goes into 3 one time. So 1 over 1 is 1. So if we go like this and say 3 goes into 3, cross it out one time, and 3 goes into 3, cross it out one time, it's like you're having 1 over 5 and 2 over 1. So instead of multiplying 3 times 2, now we're multiplying 1 times 2. 1 times 2 is 2, and 5 times 1 is 5. And that's what we had over there at the end when we reduced. But instead of doing it at the end, we're doing it before we even start. Okay? That was our first little example. We're going to go to this. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. 5/6 times 1/5. Okay? So I see two numbers that are across from each other. One's on the top and one's in the denominator that we can cancel out. Okay? So it'd be like you would be having 5 over 5. And 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 5 one time. So we can cross out our 5, so 5 goes into 5 one time. We can cross out this 5, 5 goes into 5 one time. Now 1 times 1 is 1. And 6 times 1 is 6. And now we have 1 6, and we didn't even have to reduce. Afterwards, we reduced before. But what if the 5 was here? Let's see, there was a 1 here and a 5 here. Could I cancel out the 5s and just make them 1s? What do you think? No, because 5 is the numerator and this 5 is the numerator. And 5 across from 5 is not the same as the same number on top of the same number. One number, the same number as the numerator and the denominator. So even if you have a 5 across from each other and they're both the same, you can't cross them out because they're both numerators. And you need 1 to be the denominator and 1 to be the numerator. That's the only way you can cancel out before you start multiplying. Okay? Just wanted to let you know that because my kiddos were learning that and they were always trying to cancel out the top. Okay, what's our next example? We got 1 and 1/9 times 1 and 1/5. So we have 3 steps that we usually follow when we do fractions and we multiply fractions. First, we get it in the correct form. What does that mean? Can we multiply mixed fractions? No. What do we do to make them in fraction form? We make them improper fractions. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. So we have 10, keep the denominator, 9s, times 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 plus 1 is 6. So we have 6, and then we keep the denominator, 5ths. Now we can do it. Oh, see, now I don't see any same numbers over here. I don't see a 5 and a 5, or a 10 and a 10, or a 6 and a 6. But I do see things that I can cancel out, because if 10 was on top of a 5, the 10 was the numerator, and 5 was the denominator, I can reduce that. 5 can go into 5 one time. 5 can go into 10 two times. So let's do that here. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 10 two times. See how I did? I'm just bringing it over here because 10 is the numerator and 5 is the denominator, and I canceled it out. How about 9 and 6? Do we have anything that we can cancel there? Pretend that 6 was on top, right here, the numerator, and pretend 9 is in the denominator like this. How would you reduce this? Is there a number that can go into 6 and 9 equally? Yup. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 9. So 3 can go into 6 2 times. 3 can go into 9 3 times. You see how I did that? So I can cancel out. They don't have to be the same. They can just be numbers that a number can equally divide into. Okay? So now instead of 60/45ths, it can be 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. Now, can we leave this answer 4/3? No. Why? Because it's an improper fraction, and we cannot have an improper fraction be our answer. What do we have to change it to? A mixed number. Right, how do we do that? 4 divided by 3. 4 divided by 3, 4 divided by 3, not this way. 3 goes into 4 one time with a 1 left over. So what is that? 1 and 1/3. So our answer is 1 and 1/3. Get it? I think we have another one to practice. I love these. I love canceling out. It's like a little puzzle. I love. What's that for us next? Give us a hard one. It says simplify 5/6 divided by 5/2. Simplify 5/6 divided by 5/2. Okay, well, first step, we get into our correct form. Isn't the correct form? Fractions, yes. Now we do our operations. Can we divide fractions? What do we do to make this not division? Take our second fraction, flip it, reciprocal, and change our operation. Instead of a division, it'll become a multiplication. Okay? So now we have 5/6 times reciprocal of 5/2 is 2/5. We just flipped it. Okay, and now we can multiply across, but look at that. There's a 5 in the numerator and a 5 in the denominator. There's a 2 as a numerator and a 6 as the denominator. Can we reduce these before we even start multiplication? Yeah. 5 goes into 5, one time. 5 goes into 5, one time. 2 goes into 2, one time. And 2 can go into 6. How many times? 3. Got that? And now we just multiply 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. So before we even multiply, we're reducing or canceling. I think that's our last example. Yeah. We're going to do one of the practice set. Let's just do one of the practice set. First one says 3/4 times 4/5. Okay. Anything that you think you can cancel out? I see 2 4s. So automatically I know that can be a 1. That can be a 1. Yeah? Can 3 go in evenly to 5? And any number going evenly to 3 and 5? Nope. So I'm just going to leave that. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 5 is 5. So the answer is 3/5. I think you got this. I really do. All right, if you have any questions, call me, all right? Otherwise, have fun!